Join the Our Game Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material. What about the All-Ireland Under-20 hurling final this weekend? Cork against Dublin, Nolan Park, 7:15 on Saturday night. This is a game I'm really looking forward to. I mean, Dublin have obviously had a brilliant week, not only winning the Under-20 final against Galway in Leinster a week and a half ago, whatever it was at this stage, but then beating Galway in the Leinster senior semi-final. Absolutely brilliant. I think this would kind of frank their form at this stage. And I think there's certainly an advantage to Dublin. They've played within the last 2 weeks. Cork played their Munster final against Tipperary on the 23rd of December. You know, it's like that. That's a huge difference, you know.
Yeah, it's like the gap you'd always talk about.
Oh, we just lost Michael Verney there. But just even to, as he's getting the call re-established there, just looking at how Dublin played against Galway and some of the scores. Liam Murphy, a cooler clubmate of mine, he scored 7 points. They all came from frees. Dara Purcell, he scored 4. Lee Gannon scored 4. Mark Sweeney and Michael Murphy had a couple. Derek McBride as well. And then Eddie Gibbons. So just talking about the Dublin team, Eddie Gibbons, who I've watched play in the forward line for Kilmacud Crokes in the last couple of years, playing in goals for the under-20s. Like, he's a very talented stickman, really good player, and he's a player you wanted to talk about quickly, I think.
Yeah, no, they played awfully in the quarter-final or semi-final in Borough just before Christmas, and he slotted over a few key long-range frees. He's just really, really solid. He's solid in every aspect. His puck-outs, his free take, and his distribution, very, very solid. And as you said, I was just saying there, like the gap between games for Cork, it's like, you know, they'd always say, how do you handle a provincial club win and then getting ready for the All-Ireland stages? Except it's 3 or 4 times longer this time. It's very, very difficult. I'm sure they've played a few practice games and different bits and pieces, but very, very difficult to know what you're going to get out of Cork. Whereas you should have a fair idea what you're going to get out of Dublin. And no more than we talked earlier about Kildare hurling been on the crest of a wave. Like, what a difference a couple of weeks makes for Dublin. You know, just optimism everywhere you look in Dublin at the moment. And it has to be said, like, Cork have come up short in a couple of, you know, underage All-Irelands in recent years. They're beaten in the 21 final and the 20 final by Tip, particularly that 21 final, you know, star-studded team. Still couldn't get over the line, and they haven't won. I think it's an under-21 or an under-20 since 1998. That's a long time to be going back.
Back when Joe Dean scored 7 points from playing the final, so did Mickey O'Connell, but Joe Dean was top scorer that year. That tells you how long ago it was. The second top scorer in that championship that year was under-21 then rather than under-20 now, Henry Shefflin. So, you know, it was obviously quite a long time. And
Mickey O'Connell hardly had the collar up, did he?
You would have thought so. But considering the hurlers that Cork produce pretty much every single season, it seems mad that they haven't won it at this age group for 23 years. Obviously, this is a delayed 2020 final, but at the same time, that's quite something. But some of the players they have here, you talked about the star-studded lineup they had a couple of years ago. It mightn't be quite as star-studded for this level, and maybe if it was under 21, these lads would have an extra year to establish themselves. But maybe they have because it's a delayed one. But Shane Barrett, he's looked really comfortable at senior level. When he came on last week against Limerick, thought to myself, yeah, this doesn't look like it phases him at all. Looks a really good player. I wonder if Andrew Dunphy, who came on for the Dublin hurlers against Galway when Owen O'Donnell went off injured, I wonder if he's somebody who's going to pick up Barrett, or do they want Dunphy back marking or minding the square? Also, Jack Cahalane, he looked good in that game against Tipperary in the Munster final. Colin O'Brien looked good. And then you have a couple of other senior players like Alan Connolly and Dara Connery, who we've seen a little bit throughout the league, not yet in the championship this year. So more of the senior quality, or the slightly more proven senior quality lads that have been exposed to top level stuff, is probably with Cork here.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Yeah, like they're all really promising players that you named out there. It's amazing. There's a couple of famines that they're looking to get, obviously, you know, end. And one, I think it's 16 years since they won a senior. You say 23 years since they won an under 20 or an under 21. Like, they need to eventually go over the line. And just that comment in from Will there is very, very true. Cork have lost a good few titles at this level. The Dubs need it, but Cork need it as well. Both of them do definitely need it. But Dublin to win an under 20 All Ireland, which definitely you'd have to say 3 or 4 weeks ago would have been totally against the grain. I remember watching Galway play Kilkenny under 20 in the semi final. They were very, very good side, real polished side. brushed Kilkenny aside in the last 15 minutes. That was Kilkenny side. Owen Cody was captain, I think. And you're just thinking these boys are going to be really hard bet in the Leinster final. Dublin obviously produced that result against them. I think it was their first time to beat Galway in underage championship at any stage. So, like, there's no reason why they can't kick on. Really, really tight game. Probably just be favouring Cork, but very, very tight game.
Join the Our Game Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material.